Chapter 3. Stop proving and start doing.
Here's how you know you haven't mastered emotional detachment yet. You can't stop explaining yourself. Someone questions your decision, and you launch into a 15-minute justification. Someone doubts your capability, and you list every credential you've ever earned. Someone raises an eyebrow at your lifestyle, and you spend an hour defending your choices. Stop. Every word you speak in defense is a confession. You're confessing that you need their approval. You're confessing that their opinion matters more than your own conviction. You're confessing that you haven't detached. Let me tell you something that will sting. Insecure people explain. Confident people execute. Think about the most successful person you know personally, not someone you follow on social media. Someone you actually know. How much time do they spend justifying their decisions to you? How often do they defend their choices when someone questions them? Almost never, right? That's not because they're arrogant. It's because they have internalized a truth that most people never learn. Your self-worth cannot be dependent on the approval of people who aren't living your life. When you feel that urge to justify, that burning need to explain why you're doing what you're doing, why you're capable, why your choice makes sense, that's not confidence speaking. That's your ego, and your ego is screaming for validation. That's the key. Your ego wants everyone to understand you, to approve of you, to validate your existence. But emotional detachment means recognizing that you don't need that. You really don't. Someone thinks your business idea is stupid? Okay. Build it anyway. Someone thinks you're wasting your time on that project? Fine, finish it anyway. Someone doesn't believe you can do it? Good. Prove them wrong through results, not rhetoric. You don't need their permission. You never did. Let me show you what over-explaining actually is. It's not communication. It's not being thorough. It's not being helpful. Over-explaining is emotional leakage. You're hemorrhaging power with every unnecessary word. Watch what happens in any meeting, any negotiation, any high-stakes conversation. Who speaks the most? Usually the person with the least power. They fill every silence. They add unnecessary details. They justify every statement before anyone even challenges it. Listen to this example.
Well, what I think, and maybe I'm wrong, but based on my experience, which isn't that extensive, but I've noticed, is that we should probably consider, if everyone's okay with it, moving forward with option A. But I'm totally open to other ideas. I just thought, it might make sense. But again, that's just my opinion.
That's weakness disguised as humility. Now listen to how powerful people speak.
We are moving forward with option A.
7 words. No justification, no hedging, no plea for approval. A statement of fact. A decision made. If someone wants more information, they'll ask. If someone disagrees, they'll speak up. But the powerful person doesn't preemptively defend themselves against challenges that haven't even been made yet. That's the difference. One person is seeking permission, the other is making a declaration. Every time you over-explain, you're subconsciously admitting you need permission. You're treating other people like gatekeepers to your own life, and they're not. They never were. Stop asking. Start claiming. Here's what this looks like in practice. Someone asks you why you're starting a business. Weak response. Well, I've always been really interested in entrepreneurship, and I've taken some courses, and I think I have some good ideas, and I know it's risky, but I've done a lot of research, and I really think it could work, I've been planning it for months, and I've talked to some people who think it's a good idea, so I thought I'd give it a shot. Strong response. I'm starting a business. Notice what's not there? No justification, no credentials listed, no defensive preempting of criticism, just a statement of fact. If they want to know more, they'll ask specific questions, and you can answer those. But you don't lead with a dissertation defending your right to make your own choices. You have a choice. You can spend your energy explaining why you're capable, or you can spend that energy proving it. One makes you look weak. The other makes you undeniable. The most respected people in any room speak the least. Have you noticed that? They don't fill silence with justifications. They don't use 3 sentences when 1 word will do. They state. They decide. They move on. Why? Because their confidence comes from internal validation, not external approval. Think about what you're really doing when you over-explain. You're outsourcing your self-worth. You're essentially saying, I'll feel good about this decision once you approve of it. I'll feel confident once you validate me. I'll feel worthy once you understand. That's giving away all your power. You're making your emotional state dependent on other people's opinions. And other people's opinions are unreliable, uninformed, irrelevant. They're unreliable because people change their minds constantly. They're uninformed because they don't know your full situation, your goals, your context. And they're irrelevant because at the end of your life, you're the one who has to live with your choices, not them. Emotional detachment means building your self-worth from the inside out. It means your sense of capability, your sense of purpose, your sense of worthiness. All of that comes from you, from your values. from your vision, from your commitment to yourself, not from whether Janet from accounting thinks your idea is good. Let me give you a practical exercise. This week, practice one-sentence answers. Someone asks why you're doing something. Give them one sentence, then stop talking. Let the silence hang. Watch what happens. Why are you going back to school? To develop new skills. Why did you turn down that job offer? It wasn't the right fit. Why are you moving to a new city? New opportunities. One sentence, then silence. You don't owe anyone a TED Talk about your life choices. And here's what's fascinating. Most of the time, they won't even push back. Because your calm, confident brevity communicates something powerful. I'm secure in this decision. But let's say they do push back. Let's say they question you, challenge you, or express doubt. You still don't need to defend. You can acknowledge their concern and move on. I just don't think that's a good idea. I appreciate your perspective. I'm moving forward with it. Not, well, actually, if you understood the full context and all the research I've done, you'd see that it actually makes perfect sense because, no, you acknowledge them. You held your position. You moved on. That's emotional detachment. Here's the ultimate truth. Your results will always speak louder than your explanations ever will. People who achieve don't talk about achieving. They don't post long manifestos about their goals. They don't spend hours explaining their vision to anyone who'll listen. They just do the work. They show up. They execute. And eventually, the results speak for themselves. Nobody asks Elon Musk to justify SpaceX anymore. The rockets fly. Nobody questions whether someone can build a billion-dollar company after they've built one. The results answered every doubt. The person who spends an hour explaining why they're capable could have spent that hour getting one step closer to proving it. That's the opportunity cost of constant justification. Every minute you spend defending is a minute you're not spending building. Emotional detachment redirects that defensive energy into productive action. Instead of managing everyone's perception of you, you're creating outcomes that make perception irrelevant. You don't need to convince anyone. You need to execute. You don't need to explain your potential. You need to realize it. You don't need validation before you start. You need results after you finish. That's the shift. From let me tell you why I can do this to watch me do this. From I hope you understand my decision to I've made my decision. From do you think this will work to I'll find out. You have a choice. You can spend your life seeking approval from people who will never give it, or you can build something so undeniable that approval becomes irrelevant. Insecure people explain. Confident people execute. And emotionally detached people, they don't even register the need to do either. They simply act, aligned with their internal compass, indifferent to external judgment. That's freedom.
You've learned to stop explaining. You've learned that your results are your real resume. Now we need to address the addiction that keeps most people trapped in emotional dependence. The desperate need for validation from people who don't even know you.